Good morning, good morning. There was the bell. How are we doing? Let's go, let's go. Hope everybody's having a great morning so far. It is Tuesday, and we are out here in the market. The SPY is gapping down, though, this morning. It's a bit strange. Definitely a little bit different than what we've been used to over the past... How long has it been since April? 6 months. Since those April lows. It has been wild how much the market has came back and just how much bullish price action that we've seen. I'm not totally surprised to see some slight selling coming into play here. Looking at the SPY specifically here today, it's sitting under 658. I think this is a critical range. It was a big range of support from yesterday, especially in pre-market. The market really failed to break below here, so I'm watching that now as resistance today, watching and waiting for possibly some more trends to come in here. See SPY maybe downtrend a little bit, down towards 650 or so. Almost filled the gap from yesterday's gap up, almost. But what's up, dark o'clock? Chai. Brain damage, it's D. U. Bad occurrences, D. Pat Rack, Jose Flores, KO, Xavier, Satisfied, Chill, Outlaw, Varoom, let's get it. Appreciate that, Outlaw. How you doing? Taco Tuesday. Oh, yeah. That's always fun. Let's look at the Mag 7 right away. NVIDIA selling off at open. Wow. Look at that sell-off by NVIDIA, down 3% today. That is quite the pullback on NVIDIA. Wow, that was a big resistance at 190 yesterday for them. Wow, they are really pulling back. They filled the gap down and then some today. Iceman, Yvonne, bad occurrences, love it. Man, NVIDIA, that is a big pullback there. Nasty red candle at open. Look at the 1 minute here. It's actually 4 straight minutes of downtrend, essentially. Well, we're on the 4th minute, we'll say. All right, Palantir. Wow. Pullback by them at open as well after doing pretty good. In pre-market there, they ran back up, touched resistance, and immediately shot down. I have been watching Palantir a bit, waiting for a larger pullback to hit. Even MP's down in the red. Really, Yvonne? MP broke above 100 this morning, and ever since it pulled back under there here at open, my gosh, it really sold off. 100 was a big level on watch here for MP. Too bad it couldn't hold above that this morning. It would have been a fun one. Watch list to the upside today. Ericsson leading the way. Class B? Wow, they must have changed Ericsson around a bit, but... Yeah, either way, up quite well today. 15%. NVTS. Navitas Semiconductors. This one is at the top of the watch list only because it had the great move last night in after hours. Today at open, it slowed down a lot. The banks reported earnings today. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that. Here's the earnings calendar. We had BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citi, Wells Fargo, Ericsson. That one's not a bank, but either way, you guys get it. We had a lot of banks report today. WFC being one of them, of course, being up in the green over by 3% here. Actually in third on the watch list, which is a bit weird for something like WFC. Walmart Walmart's up around the top of the watch list. We're seeing some weird price action today. That's for sure. If Walmart's at the top of our watch list, you know something's either really good for Walmart or messed up. And today's, I'm leaning towards the market being a bit messed up. Mason said, thank God I held my AGO puts. I'm assuming you mean Avgo. Whoa, Mason said he hit a major jackpot. $750 major. That's pretty fire. There you go. That's always fun. Which one was it? Was it a popular one? Coinbase down almost 6% today. COIN pulling back in a massive way. Down to 335 in the way that they fell. Wow. Just look at how much they pulled back this morning. Let's look at Bitcoin. Or Bitcoin. I'm kidding. 110,000. Pulling back. Actually just broke under its low from this morning. Right now, it actually just now did it. Oh, let's see. Oh, you took a video? That's funny. Man, that's fire, though. I'll show it in a little bit. See what happens. CoreWeave pull back. That is some big red candles there on CoreWeave, especially it opened today. Damn, CoreWeave. I know that they've been in the news a lot lately, but there has been some people looking to short CoreWeave. Have you done it yet? Let's go look at it on the daily. Just got back up to a huge area of resistance. The past few trading days. Joe Papa said, SPY ever gonna stop dropping? I don't know about that. I'm definitely still watching it down myself. Yeah, there we go. Some solid red action at open. If it breaks under the low of pre-market here, that would be pretty nice. Crane said Oklo's pulling back. It's about damn time. In a way it is, yeah. Avgo's going nuts, Mason said. AVGO. Wow, that big drop and then pullback. What the? Here's GS. Yeah, Goldman had earnings. Unfortunately, not the best action so far. Xavier said, what's the support on NVIDIA? Let's see, NVDA all the way down to 180. That is the big support today. 180 even. Obviously, it's like a range. You could say 179.50 to 180. Maybe even 179 to 180, but that's the range of support there. I'll bet on Bookmap there's a crap ton of buyers stacked up there. I was watching that 190 resistance last night on the Bookmap. Alright, I talked about it on the video anyways. 469,000 shares. Wow. At that 180 point when it broke down. More buyers even just stacked up, though. 48,000 more. Not a ton more, but they did restack. How much is GS down today? Let's see. Turn on our stats down there in the bottom right. Down 4.5%. Pretty big pullback. NVTS was pretty sweet yesterday, and it keeps going so far. Navitas. Nice gap up this morning, up 11%. From open, though, today, it's been pretty rough. Yeah, from open, I gotta say, it's not the best price action. Everything falling like dominoes for Yvonne's account. Oh, no. QQQ pulling back a little bit, down 1.8%. This is going to be a weird time for trading, just so you guys are aware. As the volatility starts picking up, it's going to be tough to trade. It can provide really good opportunities for some people, but for others, it's going to be very hurtful. So just keep that in mind. Look at VIX starting to really extend up here. VIX doing really well again today. 19.8%. UVXY moving a little bit too. 12% on this one. Like to see it, like to see it. Volatility picking up here. SPY just sold off under 654 support. UVXY calls keeping me in butter brickle. What? That's what I like to hear, though. UVXY calls. Ooh. Those must be fun here today. Brain says it's bouncing between 11 and 11.50 for Navitas. Damn, UVXY. Still extending up. NVTS 13.5%. I like Navitas today. It just got a little slow here. I like that it's up in the green by a lot, but it all came last night. Nano Dimension 7%. NNDM. Wow. Yeah, that would be nice. Navitas. At 1150. Little intraday resistance there, yeah. Mason says he loves AVGO. Look at Avgo sell off there. That's pretty solid. I guess with the deal, too bad it didn't break 360, but good for your puts. I actually didn't catch that one, Brain. I wasn't able to catch that one. Oh, it was funny? Now I'm going to watch it. No, I'm kidding. SMR pulled back down 6.5%. Man, just so many stocks down in the red on our watch list today. I mean, you name any of the hot stocks recently, it's down. Hood's down. QBTS is down. The Metals Company, TMC, is down. I don't know if you guys saw this with Beyond Meat recently, but my gosh, the fake meat has gotten destroyed again. Yesterday, Beyond Meat was down over 50% or something crazy. It was wild at the point that I looked at it anyways. Wow, that was a pullback. And look at how recently they were like $2.80 or $3 a share. Pulled all the way back now, 70%. Since October 1st. That's pretty bad. Well, actually, since September 26th. My line went to October 1st is what it was. The Prime Minister of the UK came in and wanted to speak, and Trump sent him off. What? One of those deals again, I see. But yeah, Beyond Meat was crazy. I could not believe how much it was down. It's even generating headlines on Barron's. Nobody wants fake meat, man. I'm sure some people do, but I don't know. I mean, everyone talks about all the chemicals in food and how the U.S. has all this bad food and all this stuff. My gosh, I couldn't imagine all the chemicals in this fake stuff. Yeah. You know what's funny? My dad was a vegan. Funny enough. It was crazy. He was like the biggest meat eater I ever known, and then he turned vegan. Full of sodium. No Juice says, is this SPY going back up? What's happening here, boss? SPY probably did find some support. Let's see. Weird price action today. Very up and down. Yeah, SPY is in an uptrend right now. But I'm not saying it's going to continue. I could see SPY maybe continuing a little bit, but I'm ultimately looking for more turnover out of the SPY rather than it's staying and testing, you know, 658 to 660 constantly. That's personally what I'm more of watching for. So as the SPY goes up here, I would watch and wait, and then wait for a point where it starts to turn over harder. Yeah, like, I don't know all the fundamentals beyond that, behind that stuff, Yvonne, but it does seem like there has to be some, right? Jeanette said, honestly, vegan food is so highly processed. And you know, I've never like thought about it that way until like recently. I started hearing people say that, and I was like, wow. Looked like the SPY's trying to test the daily 20. Oh, you're looking at the 20 moving average? I'm kidding. If you saw that line. The big thing with the SPY today is that it filled the gap, I mean, perfectly from yesterday. That's why it's bouncing so well off this support. It was a perfect gap fill. Like, to a T. Oh, excuse me. You need SM to drop more. Smookers? SM. SM Energy Company, okay. Wow. I don't think I've heard of this one. Okay, Smookers. I'm just kidding. SM Energy Company. Interesting. Oh, you meant MP? No. I was like... I was surprised you were looking at SM. I was like, that's a weird one. Joe Papa says, there a moving average you prefer? Still learning. You know, I used to look at moving averages quite a bit, but I have actually quit looking at moving averages. I feel like they can be helpful sometimes to identify some trends, maybe. It can help. Personally, on a daily chart, I looked at things more of like the 100 SMA and 200 SMA. Those are the two that I really kept an eye on. Let me show you what I actually used to have. You're gonna laugh at this one. Here we go. Here we go. Check this out. This is how I used to run. I used to trade with this exact setup right here. So I used to run like a ribbon almost. It's a custom ribbon though. I usually just watch the 100 SMA, 200 SMA. What's this one? 300. Then 500 EMA, 500 SMA, and the 1000 SMA. And I really like the 1000 SMA, if I'm being honest. For longer term dip buys, things of that nature, I really like the 1000. But nonetheless, I'm just showing you how I used to run it just because you asked about that. So I'll go to edit studies real quick. You can screenshot this really fast if you want. If you want to see how I used to run it, this is the old setup right here. Screenshot it up if you want, but I don't use those anymore. I don't really find too much use out of it. Now again, like with moving averages, I know a lot of people like to use like closer ones, and that makes sense. Like 20s and things like that. So I don't blame you. That's not how I ran it. Brain said Navitas is going for 12 now. Oh, it did touch 12 momentarily. Very quickly, and then popped right back down. Tom, do you see DLTR for the short move? Maybe after Powell today. They have earnings tomorrow. DLTR, Dollar Tree. Do you see Dollar Tree for the short move? I don't think that Powell's going to necessarily affect Dollar Tree all that much, if I'm being honest. That was a wild big money play back from August. I gotta say, they sniped the hell out of that. Wow. Yvonne said, I need MP to stay up. Some of you are probably looking at puts, others calls. That's funny. Well, see, it's actually doing pretty good here in the way it came back, but I'm worried it's going to turn over a bit more. I'm still watching the SPY recover up, too. SPY's coming back up quite a bit here. Little V-shaped action, kind of like yesterday. Yesterday, it just traded within a big range. Is it going to do that again today? It might. Powell is set to speak, though, at 12:20 p.m. Eastern Time. A bit of a weird time, honestly. Pretty weird time. What's your view on Tesla as a head and shoulders forming? Good question. Let's go see. What time frame are you looking at for a head and shoulders here? Just so I know. Like, are you zoomed in intraday on a 1 minute? Or are you looking at like a 5 minute zoomed out a few days? I think you're looking at the past couple days, because this looks like a head and shoulders here. It's actually a pretty solid setup, honestly. I like it, Yvonne. I think it's a great setup here if this is the one you were looking at. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. I love it. Oh, you need it to go up? That's not the best sign then if we have a head and shoulders here. Generally, that would be more of a bearish position here. Yeah, I gotcha. Oh, I see. I see what you mean, Yvonne. What do you mean by a push, Brain? Noju said, what is the support and resistance for SPY? Oh, semiconductor production, I see. Well, the government did just take a stake in Intel. Yeah, TSMC is a big producer. People don't even know how big they are, really. A lot of people don't. SPY, major support here at 653.15 today. I had one at 654 as well, so that's ultimately what I'm looking for is support, Noju. I like 658 as resistance now, along with 660, and then where the gap filled up to 662 will be solid as well. Those are the main levels I'm watching for here today. Look at McDonald's coming back alive for the monopoly. Let's go. Do you think there will be a chance that the Fed pauses rates this month? Ooh, pauses? Now, that would be a tough one. If that did happen, that would be a pretty insane happening. Let me see here. I'm going to turn on the Fed Watch tool. Or pull it up, I should say. Right now, the market's pricing in a 96% chance of a cut. That would be wild if there was a pause, you know. I mean, it could happen. Especially with everything weird going on. Like, if the government's still shut down. I think we talked about this a couple days ago, but, you know, there's some people throwing around the theory that Powell could pause just because of simply that they're not getting the data correctly anymore. Either, you know, the BLS and everybody is down. You know, a lot of their employees are furloughed, so. That's pretty neat, though. MCD coming back alive. I like to see that, though. McDonald's with the monopoly. Oh, you got a bet in on the prediction markets. Nice. Okay. Brain is so glued to Navitas, I'm afraid to step out for a smoke. We don't need to be smoking anyways. That's okay. $11 bounce, 16%. You know, it really did hold that range pretty well. SLV starting to creep back, Iceman said. That is a good jump back. It was down 1%, or it is down 1% today. It was down even more, but it is coming back pretty well so far. Pretty solid recovery to see. The Poet CSP gets you out before earnings, by the way. Let's go see Poet. Is this 94 range good for MP? I need it to continue on the downtrend. MP. 94 range. Is it good? Let's see. We have $89 and $90 here. Very interesting levels. It did recover back quite well. I could see it falling off more, actually. I'm not really looking at it to make a full-blown recovery myself. I'm with you, Satisfied. You know, I'm looking at more of a downtrend out of MP, especially with today's price action. I could see it, like, hitting resistance kind of like this and trending lower. So far, looking pretty good. Drinking the vitamin water today. Resistance is at 96. That's going to be a big level of resistance here on MP. I also have the next resistance up around 98 and then 100. But that $98 to $100 range will be critical. That'll be hard to break above in my eyes. These stocks have been pretty wild lately, though, so. Tesla with a little W here intraday. With the little base starting to form down there at the bottom. Might try to see a recovery there, but it's down 3.2% on the day, so even if it does recover up a little bit, it's not going to be the best sign for Tesla here. Tesla has a big gap to fill down to like 412. That would be a nice move today if we could see a drop down to there. Yeah, essentially, Yvonne. Yeah, essentially so. It just works out that way every $2 right there. I'm a big Tesla fan. I find myself hard to sell Tesla. Really? Yeah, as a trader, you know, try not to think like that. You got to do whatever's right for your account, right? Yeah, I got you, Yvonne. I know. Let's go check on silver and gold again. Wow, silver's still creeping higher. Almost up to 47 now. Look at that big jump with silver today. From open anyways, that is a nice run. Gold, similar price action. Not near as good, but pretty good. Let's go, silver, Steve said. I like it. I'd be happy if silver keeps it up. There it goes, too. 1 minute candles are beautiful here. It's done pretty much nothing but go straight up today. Going to the Mag 7 setup to check in on some of these bigger companies out here. Google. Nice recovery. Everything seems to be recovering back except for Nvidia, which is... It is recovering back a little bit off 180 support, but very slow. Nowhere near their opening price, which is In a lot of these cases, a lot of these stocks are testing their opening prices, if not even breaking them. Yeah, Tesla and Nvidia are two pretty red ones here today. More red than the rest. Tesla's down 3.5%, Nvidia's down 3.7%. Brain's asking what Yvonne thinks about the cheap Tesla models. Do you think it's cheap enough? I personally think that they're cheap enough. I mean, it's hard to find a new car for cheap. Especially one like a Tesla without a bunch of stuff wrong. Found out there's pretty cool Asian versions of the Toyota Hilux. Really? I didn't know that. I know those are pretty popular little trucks, though. If there was a stock just for Elon, I would do that, Yvonne said. I would buy that all the way. You like him that much, huh? I know a lot of people like him, a lot of people hate him. You know, I'm kind of neutral on him, so I lean towards liking him, I guess, but isn't it Doge? It looks awesome. It costs 15K USD new. Wow. You mean like they act like they still make one? I thought you meant like it was old. Help me out here. I'm on SPY 654 puts and 656 puts. Both down 50 and 20%. Do you see SPY pushing up, or could this be just a quick fake out? SPY getting close to pre-market highs here. This is a tough one with the SPY. The problem is that the SPY just filled the gap from yesterday, bounced right off of support. Now there's another gap to fill to the upside, up to around 662. Ultimately, I do see more selling pressure coming into play over the next day or two. For today specifically, I wouldn't be surprised if it traded just like yesterday. Look at how it traded yesterday. It went very flat and choppy, but ultimately ended up coming up a little bit above that pre-market high. If we see the SPY do that again today, it would just stay choppy within the zone, maybe come above the pre-market high a little bit, but ultimately chop around, right? That's kind of what I'm more of watching for here today. I do lean more to the downside than the upside. Like, I don't necessarily see the SPY getting up to here or breaking 665, but I am watching like this 662 resistance very, very carefully, along with 660 and 658. I do think that there could be a shot that it rejects down right here, back down into this range, but I think that, you know, again, the chances are kind of like 50-50 where we are right now in my eyes. But Dusty said, love Elon. Why would you not? Uh-oh. With all the people we get commenting on YouTube and in the Discord and everything, man, there's a lot of reasons I found out, Dusty. Not that I agree with them all, but there's a lot apparently. Palladium starting to move. I think it's palladium. Sorry, I don't know my elements very well. What's your view on CRNL and IDR? Let's see, CRNL. Never heard of this one. Oh, CRML. Oh, the Critical Metals Corp. Yeah. Went pretty wild yesterday, right? I would be pretty careful here with this one. Be a little careful with CRML. I think it's a little bit too wild, and I'm actually worried that it's going to pull back a little bit here. These stocks went pretty crazy, and now we have a problem with, you know, this China situation. If it does keep calming down, that's going to be detrimental for some of these stocks. What's that, Demure? He said, damn, I'm having a bad week. Dusty said, asides politics, yeah. Demir's thinking about buying a covered call. Well, selling one, right? Selling a covered call on NVIDIA at the 200 strike at the end of the month. What are your thoughts? Let's see where NVIDIA is here. The 200 strike, end of the month. I mean, so you already have 100 shares, right, Demir? You already have the shares, right? Not yet. About to. I think it's pretty smart. My problem is where NVIDIA is right now, it's a bit overextended. I'm not sure that I would want to own shares up here. That's my biggest concern. Now, NVIDIA has been pretty solid throughout the years. But let's just say that this situation does blow up a bit more. It just worries me that we could see a much larger pullback coming into play. And that would be pretty bad for something like these NVIDIA calls, of course. Jack Black said, good morning, guys. What did I miss? A lot of up and down price action again. SPY went down, went up, and chopping all around. Choppy, kind of like yesterday. Got a lot of pullbacks coming in today, though, Jack Black. Almost all the fun stocks, like MP or Oklo or... Oklo's actually starting to come back alive. I lied. UUUU pulled back a lot. QUBT's down at the bottom of the watch list. Even NVIDIA down like 4%. So a lot of pullbacks today. But as far as NVIDIA at the 200 strike, I like the covered call idea. I'm just not sure that I'd be buying shares up at 180. That's my big concern. I like the covered call side of it, but not the share side necessarily. Chase said, if I had the capital, I would only ever sell covered calls. It's literally amazing. I mean, it's fantastic, Chase. Selling covered calls is one of my favorite strategies out there. Or just running up the whole wheel. You know, really, I mean, it's fantastic. It really is. It allows you to hold longer-term stocks and essentially capitalize on short-term fluctuations. Tangy goes, spin that wheel. I wish I had the Wheel of Fortune here. Let's see. Wheel of Fortune. I can't believe I'm even looking this up. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to turn it way down in case it's loud. But I'm going to spin the wheel real quick. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm glad I turned that down. That would have been very annoying. How about this one? Oh my god. Alright, no more of those. Those are loud. If you guys knew how much I turned those down before I did those even, because I knew they were going to be loud. I don't satisfied. I have a 2008 Corvette Z06 now. That's what we're running with now. Always fun, though. Oh. You got a 2010 ZR1. Whoa. Did you actually? That is sick. Yeah, that's really nice. Here's what mine looks like. Hang on, I'll show you what it looks like in a second. I'm trying to get a picture that looks okay. So this is essentially what it looks like. This was on Bring a Trailer. Oh no. Yeah, that's sick though. ZR1. Those are fantastic. Yeah, that's sick, man. Those are awesome. Oracle pulling back to 292. A little sad to see that pullback after that OpenAI pop. But yeah, Oracle is pulling back. Now, as Oracle rises today, watch for it to hit resistance and drop. I actually like 298 where it's touching right now as a possible resistance, but if it's not at 298, you know, I feel like you could add a little bit into 300 and let it come back down. That's pretty awesome. I have not done that, Tangy Man, but I want to. How many miles to the gallon? Ooh. Probably like 10. You know, you'd actually be really surprised, Brain, if you're driving a Corvette, for some reason, those things get really good miles to the gallon. Watch this. We'll look up the my MPG on a 2008 Z06. 24 MPG on the highway. That is wild to me. 18 combined. That is pretty good for a car like that. It's crazy. It'll just cruise at like 1,500 RPMs. It's almost like it's not even doing anything. Yeah, they're very lightweight, Brain. They're so lightweight that they're made out of carbon fiber and fiberglass. Tangy Man said you need to. It's super cool. Also, Mammoth Caves. You don't advise canoeing the Green River? Oh, no. I'll keep that in mind if I ever go that way. Brain said he wakes everyone up. That's funny. Mine's kind of like that, too. If Oracle can break 298, it's a buy and target set at 300. You know, Yvonne, I wouldn't really try to hit that, honestly. That's a pretty small move on the chart for Oracle. It could be a valid play, though. You know, I'm not saying it's invalid or it's something you can't play. But I'm just really worried about a quick touch and rejection right back. I don't want you to get, like, stuck in there, so to say. Is path on a path to 15? Path. Let's see. What color is that ZR1? I'm curious. I don't always listen to it, but when I do, so do my neighbors, Tangy said. Heavy metal, that's funny. Path might be on a path to 15. That's a pretty big drop here. There's a lot of support, though, around like 1520 to 1530, I'm noticing. So watch that range, too. 1520 to 1530 is pretty crucial. Before 15, but I like it. Yeah, I could see it having a path down towards there, yes. How's USAR? Ooh. Trying to mount a recovery. U.S. Rare Earths. My daughter's dressing up as Boo this year for Halloween. You guys excited for Halloween? You look at Open, always hearing stuff about it. Seems like it's dropped over the last few days. Wondering if it's a good buy. Can you look at Open? Boo from Monsters, Inc. If you guys don't know, this is what it is. It'll be like this. It'll be like this. Yeah, we're going to dress her up like in that weird costume that they did. Yeah. Yeah, it should be a fun one. I wanted to do that last year, but they were all sold out. And I wanted to wait till she got more like it. She's literally like that, like Boo right now. She acts just like that. Let's go, Yvonne. Yeah. Super cute. Have fun. Let's get it. Tessie with the sell-off there. TSLA. Pulling back down a bit. You look at FI for Pfizer, yeah. Not PFE's Pfizer. Pfizer. Nonetheless, so pulling back a lot. I know this was a recent big money trade. See the 160, 180 strike. Pretty risky there. Pretty far away, 160 to 180. That's a big range. And it's a far away range, too. FI needs to really get some action going here. Now, Pfizer does have earnings coming up at the end of October. I'm curious if the big money trader is waiting for earnings to see if it can shoot it back up or not. That's a tough one with FI. Tough setup. Let me double check to see if they're still in. I'm pretty sure they are, given where we are at. Yep, they're in. Yvonne said, my daughter wanted to be a different thing each week. Who knows what she'll settle on by the time Halloween comes? That's so true. So true. Any opinions on QSI? Let's see. Quantum SI Incorporated. Minus 3.37% QSI. Look at that overhead resistance here. $2 to $2.20 is pretty huge. Steve said, any opinions here? Man, this is such a large resistance. I was going to say, you know, I'm hoping for a breakout with it. I mean, that would be beautiful if we could get a breakout coming with QSI, but it's hard to not respect this resistance, really. Especially with how much QSI has came up recently. I think it would be pretty rare to just rip right through this. Gonzo, what do you think about ARM and IDR? Nice jump by ARM. Wow. Continued to get it going even with the negativity from Friday. All right, ARM. Beautiful. Testing the all-time high here at 180. I guess it's more around 190, but you can tell where that all-time high range is. It's pretty close. Appreciate that, Joe Papa. Yeah, it's too late, Yvonne. It's too late. That thing is up a lot recently. Now, it could break out and go for another run here to like 200 or something. You know, don't get me wrong. It's always plausible. This is the third test or so. Third time's the charm? Maybe. Maybe. But as far as entry goes on something like this, I would have much rather preferred you entered around support. Tassie on the 5-minute coming back up a little bit. Nothing too crazy as of now. NVDA. Could go for a new all-time high, Brain said. Wondering if Oklo is going to break 175. Now, Oklo probably will. Oklo has been so hot. I could see this one trying to go for a break. Yeah. Look at the way it's pointing up already at that resistance. Yeah, this is a pretty fire setup here by Oklo. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Pretty good move. Could go for a new all-time high. Yeah, it probably will. This is the all-time high, correct? Yeah. Could have almost guaranteed you that one. I'm actually just going to delete my levels for Oklo because we have so many, and it's getting so high right now. Very easy to just focus in the short term where we're at. MP's back in the green, Yvonne said. Wow, there you go. MP Materials coming back for you. That's nice. SMR looks like it's trying to mount a recovery too. Are we going to see these stocks recover back up? Either these nuclear or rare earth or etc. companies. Satisfied said PLTR with some moves. Palantir bouncing 1.16%. That is a good bounce. I like 170 to 171 bouncing as well. Really good action there. That's nice. Palantir, wow, that is crazy right there. Do you still love Intel? I like Intel, yeah. Yeah, Intel's solid right now. It's pulling back a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you know, that happens on a setup. No problem there. No problem there. It'll probably pull, you know, being realistic here, Intel will probably pull back down to like $30 or so again. Even if it does, I mean, no problem. You know, I still think solid for the longer term. But yeah, that was a great move this year by Intel. The way it broke out of this range and started trading higher, that was fantastic. It really needs to use that upper end of the range, though, as support. If it gets back into this range, I'm going to be pretty upset with it. But, you know, we'll see what happens when the time comes there. Probably be a good spot to start averaging in again, but looking at Nvidia's chart, I'm thinking it might break out soon. NVTS. Whoa. Look at it breaking out on the daily. My word. I've looked at it a lot recently, but you're looking for it to break out intraday. It is kind of like right on resistance here today. Right on a big resistance range. I could see it trying to break. You know, we're seeing a few of these stocks come up and do that. It's going to be a tough level to break, though. It needs to really get it done to get that breakout going for you. What about ExxonMobil? Wow, I'm surprised you're asking about that one, Satisfied. Don't get a lot of questions about Exxon out here. Exxon's been dipping the past few weeks. One problem with these oil stocks in the short term is that Trump has been talking about getting the price of gas down to $2. And as we're heading out of the summer months, it looks like crude oil is actually selling down here. You know, crude is pulling back towards support at 55 to 56 a barrel. If it starts to break under 55 to 56 a barrel, who knows? We might just see oil fall down again. That'd be pretty wild if we did. Trump's definitely calling for that $2 gas. That would have to... It would have to show up on crude oil prices, too, if that were to happen. What's your opinion on SoFi? Sorry if I'm asking too much. No, you're fine. You're fine. Juan. That was Mike's play, Juan, not mine. Keep doing it, though, if it's working for you. Whatever works. Whatever works for you. SQQQ. You know, it did actually pull up pretty well today, up 2.2%, but from open, very iffy price action, yeah. It's so funny how people misinterpret those. Like, literally, like... It's so weird how people misinterpret those. I think it takes a bit of extra due diligence on some of those plays there, Juan. How's Palantir? Fell down pretty good, but recovered right back. Nvidia pulled back very hard here yesterday. Man, that was a big resistance at 190. It fell down hard down to this 180 next area of support. That was a pretty big gap down today. I'm actually watching Nvidia for another pullback. Man, that is a big resistance here on NVIDIA, and that's a big range. I could see that end up pulling back here a little bit more. Looks like it's trying to reject and turn back down. The question is, you know, will it end up breaking this low of the day? I don't think so. That's going to be a tough 180 support there, but I could see it trying to get closer to that support before coming up. Either way, though, it's a big level on NVIDIA starting to come into play. A couple rejections at it. Could be a possible play. Tesla, 425. Similar scenario here. Tesla touching resistance. SPY is still extending up and out of here. Kind of surprising me, actually, that it's getting up and through 659, 660 so easily. But yeah, filling the gap. Watch for 662. This is going to be the gap fill zone on SPY. Now remember, SPY, it filled the gap down this morning at open. It filled it down perfectly, bounced perfectly on that gap fill. So watch for the gap fill up. Watch 662. It could possibly reject there. It would have been a really good dip buy scenario on that 653 support earlier on that gap fill. It's pretty rare that SPY has all these gaps like this. So, you know, watch for 662. That will be a big level coming up. You think MP might also have resistance here? 96. It definitely has resistance. The question is will it get through eventually, right? It looks like right now, though, it's definitely rejecting at it pretty hard. I also like on MP $98 and $100 as resistance. I know I mentioned this one a bit earlier, but what do you think about Wolf? Terra Wolf. WULF, not WOLF. WOLF's Wolf Speed. But yeah, Terra Wolf coming right back. You know, it looked like Terra Wolf was about to turn over and die on the daily chart there, but that was a good recovery today. Getting it done, coming up to test the all-time high. The big question is are we going to get a good breakout past this resistance at 1550? This is a big level on WULF. It's right where it rejected before. Oh, excuse me. Right where we rejected before. Oh, I'm going to yawn. Hang on one sec. All right, there we go. All good. MP might also have resistance there. I like that. It's a big level there. 98 and 100, pretty big too. Tessie, 425. How's NVIDIA? Turning over harder. There we go. Starting to reject at that resistance. It's a big level there. Huge. TMQ. Trilogy. Now, this is one I haven't looked at a ton, but I know that it's been on people's radar a bit more recently. It has been a bit crazy. My gosh, this stock over the past few weeks went from like $2 a share up to $11. 429% within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trading days. Rare earths. Yeah, that is wild here, how much these stocks moved. Ah, this is the Canadian one that the U.S. took a stake in. The U.S. announced a $36.5 million investment in Vancouver, British Columbia-based Trilogy Metals, giving the U.S. Defense Department a 10% stake in the company. The government will take warrants to purchase an additional 7.5% of the stock. Wow. So they'll have a... So it sounds like they're going to eventually have 17.5% stake. That's pretty big. It's pretty big. I know that they did that with Intel, too. Yeah, you're right. TMQ totally unaffected, Yvonne. Totally unaffected. USAR and MP have been crazy to the downside today, but yeah. I do gotta say, though, it helps. It helps that they took a stake in this one. That's a big deal. How much did Intel pull back today? Yeah, 4.8%. I guess it is pretty rough. Nothing too crazy, though. Especially whenever you zoom out. Definitely isn't a big intraday pullback, though. Thoughts on SMCI, Super Microcomputer Incorporated. SMCI, Super Microcomputer. That was a pretty big 1% drop here today. It was a big pullback in with the gap down, but you know, it has been trying to recover back up, just very choppy all over the place. What you guys got? So SMCI. Let's zoom out a little on the daily chart. SMCI has been actually in a pretty bad downtrend since the middle of 24 there. Now in the shorter term, since like the beginning of this year just about, it's been trying to recover up. You know, we can see it's posting higher lows, which is a good sign. That's a really good sign. At the same time, though, we're actually seeing lower highs as well. So we're seeing higher lows and lower highs, creating a weird dynamic on SMCI. Get all these drawings off here so I can see. I just want to see the wedge. Nice and easy. There we go. There's our wedge, SMCI. Pretty large one that actually is pretty consistent too. It's a pretty wild setup, Mr. Charles. I'll be watching this one carefully for the move that it starts to make at the end of this wedge. It seems more like a bearish one, but again, just let it break and see which way it goes. I wouldn't try to totally guess the direction unless you have some confidence there. Yvonne said, what does it mean if there's a wedge? A lot of times if there's a wedge, it could just be... There's a couple things here, Yvonne. A lot of people like to look at wedge trading, so you'll see something like a wedge like this, and then the stock moves in between it. So it'll kind of get like wild and do this, but then as you get to the end of the wedge, it'll either have a big move up and out of the wedge or down and out of the wedge. And that's kind of what you're watching and waiting for, is as it gets to the end of the wedge, you're waiting for a a bigger shift in the price action. Now, I like waiting till the wedge starts to play out because I don't necessarily like guessing the direction. Everybody will say, this is a bearish wedge or a bullish wedge or etc. You know, I don't want to say etc., but there's like 1,000 different names for these wedges, you know, so that's just something to keep in mind. There's lots of different names, but people always try to, you know, guess them correctly. It gets a bit weird sometimes. I have 60 shares of SMCI now. Do I wait it out? It sounds like you're more of into the SMCI for the longer term, so I probably would, Yvonne. You can't really tell if it's up or down, you know, that's the... You know, if you could, that's how you would become a billionaire. If you could tell it very easily, right? That's the issue there. If you could tell it that easy. So a lot of times, Yvonne, I'll show you this. You might want to just do some research on wedge trading. You know, it wouldn't be bad to go do some research, but here I'll show you like with SMCI. So if you see like a stock and it's moving kind of like this, where it's falling actively, if you start to see it go within like a wedge and it's dropping, that generally shows you that it's going to continue to the downside. That would be more of like a bearish wedge. And what you're doing is you're seeing a point of consolidation like within this circle. And that point of consolidation is the wedge. And then that's where you get the drop off coming into play. The exact opposites to the upside though. Like if you see a stock going up, you know, it's doing well, it's uptrending. It might start to trade like within a wedge. And then as it gets to the end of said wedge, you know, it starts to shoot up again. That's kind of a bullish wedge. Again, though, I've seen these wedges go all different ways, so you got to keep that in mind. It's not necessarily something that's going to happen every single time. Like if the stock is going up, you could have it where it starts trading within the wedge and then immediately, you know, falls back down, right? It doesn't have to keep going up. That's trading. That's trading for you, right? That's why you always have to have a good stop loss. And, you know, something else with the wedge that's nice is that, like, if you do have a wedge set up and, like, let's say, you know, stock's going up, you know, you get that consolidation in the wedge and then you get the continuation higher. What this allows for is if you do see and you see it being bullish, as it starts to break out of the end of the wedge, you can enter and throw your stop loss just under the wedge. That way that if it falls under and breaks down, you know, you're you're keeping your risk small. You're not holding too long, and it'll keep you from holding all day or bag holding. Because then you know, if it does turn on you, you exit quick so that you don't get stuck in the position. NVTS entry point now. Let's see. Entry point now. Maybe to the downside. I kind of like how it's hitting resistance here and pushing lower. Awesome, Yvonne. I'm glad. Varun said, I got into SPY put around 654. Thinking it was going to keep going down, but nope. I'm probably just going to let it run. Yeah, just be a little careful. You know, you don't want to just generally let things go like that. Always have to have a risk management strategy of some kind. Be smart out there. Just don't blow up the account. AMD thoughts. Advanced Micro Devices. I like that 216 support for a possible bounce back. Moving up higher to 224. I feel like it's very flat and choppy today, but it does have a more of an upside lean to the stock, I would say, especially with the double bottom. Down here around 208 to 210. I lean slightly up. But alrighty, guys, we're probably going to call the stream there today. A lot of these stocks are starting to slow up. Even TMQ. I don't know how. This one's been wild, but yeah, we're probably going to call it there. Tangy Man's running anyways. Need your beauty sleep. I could use some beauty sleep today, too. That's funny. Hopefully I see everyone in the Discord, though. If you're not in there yet, check out the link in the description down below. Join up on the Discord server. It's free to join. Of course, there is premium portions, but it is free to join. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Thank you, Yvonne. Appreciate you. See you later, guys. See you, Varun. Small Town Pyro. Thanks for joining up. Dacow Energy. Thoughts on DQ? Dairy Queen. No, DG. Dollar General. Okay, DG. Yeah, Dollar General, 1.25%. Let's see that daily. Wow, it's coming up pretty good here on the daily. Thoughts on DG breaking the downtrend? I'll tell you what, it does seem to have broken the downtrend a little bit here in the short term. This is definitely a shift back towards the upside. It doesn't have to go totally back up. I'm a little worried that DG does end up, you know, hitting resistance and ultimately going lower. But from this point, it does seem like it's starting to break the uptrend. And for the next couple trading days, I think there could be some good opportunity there. But all right, let's get it. Talk to you guys later. Hopefully I see you in the Discord. Let's go.